Hi, welcome again. My name is Jair. I'm the founder and director at Business English Academy. And today I'm going to show you how to talk about the future, but we're not going to do the traditional grammar. I'm not going to teach you how to use will or how to use going to. Today I'm going to show you some very, very common expressions that you can use when you're talking about the future, okay? All right, so let's get started. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some expressions and we're gonna divide them by categories. We're gonna start something that is not possible, and then we're gonna finish with something that is around 100% sure, okay? Now we're gonna be talking about prediction, probability, things like that. Everything is gonna be related to the future. And I'm also gonna take this opportunity to talk a little bit about doing home office, all right? So I'm gonna give you some examples about what I think is gonna happen with home office in the future. And I'm gonna be teaching you those expressions that you can use in your everyday conversations, in your business meetings, or in your emails, or wherever you like, all right? So let's go with the first one. The first one is when there is very, very low probability. The probability is almost zero, okay? So the expression that you're gonna use in this case is, there's no chance. There's no chance, right? And again, talking about home office, you can say, for example, there's no chance that every single company is gonna go back to the office. There's no chance that 100% of the companies are going back to the office. Because I believe that some companies are gonna be doing home office forever. So I think there's no chance that every single company is gonna go back to a normal office, okay? So that's the first expression that you can use, there's no chance. And you have two options. You can say there's no chance that, and then whatever is gonna happen, or you can say there's no chance of, and then the next verb with ing. There's no chance of going back to the office. There's no chance of working from home all my life. There's just no chance, okay? So you have those two options. There's no chance that, and there's no chance of plus ing, okay? All right, let's go with number two. It's highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely. If you translate this to Spanish, it's something similar to es muy poco probable, okay? So it's highly unlikely that we will go back to a normal office before May. It's highly unlikely that we will go back to the office before May. I mean, there's a small probability, but I just think it's highly unlikely that this will happen, okay? So again, the expression, it's highly unlikely that, and then you can talk about whatever you want. It's highly unlikely that we will go back to the office before May, okay? So that was number two. Remember, highly unlikely, poco probable, okay? Let's go with number three. I doubt whether. This is the expression. I doubt whether. If you translate it to Spanish, this one means dudo que, okay? And then you're gonna complement it. You're gonna say, I doubt whether we can go back to the office before June. I doubt whether we can go back to the office before June. I mean, again, there's a possibility. It's not zero, right? There's a possibility, but I just doubt whether it's gonna be possible to do it before June, okay? So my example is, I doubt whether we can go back to the office before June, okay? All right, let's go with number four. Perhaps. This is not a phrase, this is just a synonym of maybe. Perhaps is a synonym of maybe. It's a little bit more formal, right? So you can use it more in a business conversation, you can use it more in your emails, you can use it more in your meetings, and all you have to do is say perhaps, right? If we're talking about, again, going to the office, you're gonna say, well, perhaps by July we can go back to the office. Perhaps by July, like maybe in July, okay? So perhaps is just a synonym of maybe, but you can start using it so you don't sound so repetitive and you don't use maybe all the time. You can now change it for perhaps, okay? All right, perfect. Let's go with the next one. There's a good chance that, okay? Hay buena oportunidad de que, and then the complement. So again, talking about doing home office or working in the office directly, you can say, you know, I think there's a good chance that by August we can go back to the office. There's a good chance that by August we can go back to working in a normal office. Okay? So there's a good chance that, and then the complement. Okay? Now the complement doesn't have to be in future, not necessarily. If you notice my example, I use the verb can. So you don't always have to use it in future, but it's implied with the context because I'm talking about next August, right? Okay? All right, so let's go with the next one. It's highly likely that. It's highly likely. The one we saw before was it's highly unlikely. This one is it's highly likely. Es bastante probable. Okay? So, it's highly likely that in September, most companies are gonna be going back to the office. It's highly likely that most companies are gonna be back in the office by September, October, maybe. It's highly likely. That's what I think. That's my opinion. Remember, we're talking about prediction or probability, so this is just my personal opinion. I believe that it's highly likely that by October, we can go back to the office. Okay, and the last one, bound to be. You're gonna use this expression when you are almost 100% sure that something is gonna happen, okay? So in this case, you can say, for example, we're bound to be back in the office next year. We're bound to be back in the office next year, okay? Vamos a estar en la oficina el próximo año. Estás afirmándolo. Con esta frase lo estás afirmando. We're bound to be back in the office by next year. Okay? Now with bound to be, you have to use the verb to be twice. At the beginning, you're gonna say we're bound to be, or I am bound to, or there's bound to be, and then again, you're gonna use it at the end, right? So my example was, we're bound to be back in the office by next year. Okay? We're bound to be back in the office. All right? So tell me if you agree with my predictions. Put them in the comment section below. Make sure that you're practicing this vocabulary. I guarantee you that this is gonna help you take your English to the next level. And this is what you want, right? You don't have to use will and going to all the time. This is gonna help you. This is gonna help you greatly to increase your vocabulary and your use of the language, the real English language, okay? So make sure that you watch this video as many times as necessary, share it with your friends, give me a like, and subscribe to the channel. And well, I'll see you in the next video.